So you go through the list of the things that Trump has done and then lied about. He has solicited foreign attacks on our elections. He did that back in 2016 when he said, Russia, if you're listening, you know, we'd like to get Hillary Clinton's emails. And sure enough, there they go. He has used federal appropriations. The federal government, the Congress of the United States, Article 1 branch of the, constitutional Article 1 branch of the government, the first among equals, said, here's $391 million to help Ukraine, fight against this, everybody's calling it Russian aggression. From what I know of this situation in Donbass and, the eastern part of Ukraine, it's part, Russian infiltration or whatever, but mostly the people who live in that region are of Russian ancestry. I mean, the Soviet Union moved people around a lot, and they filled up that part of Ukraine with Russians. And so you got Russian ancestry, Russian speakers. So really what's going on is almost a civil war in Ukraine, or an attempt to secede. I mean, it's essentially a secession effort. But whatever you want to call it, we appropriated $391 million to Ukraine. And Trump withheld that and lied about it to us and the world. Trump withheld that money in order to try to blackmail Zelensky. He has put into place an across-the-board refusal to comply with any congressional oversight whatsoever. I mean, there's just this long list. He's got the Bill Barr in the Justice Department investigating the people who were investigating him. That's something that autocrats do. He's, to the best of our knowledge, destroyed or concealed all kinds of records that the Federal Record-Keeping Act requires be made available, and the Congress has asked for, and federal law requires him to give to Congress. He's refusing to. He's been using unsecure phones to talk to foreign leaders and his own people. I mean, we heard Sondland's testimony the other day. He's hiding things on a server that is not designed to hide things except things like, the raid on bin Laden. He's tried to award federal contracts to his own companies. He ran a phony charity and had to pay a fine and shut it down because he was violating campaign finance laws and using money people had given to his charity thinking it was going to go to vets to help his 2016 campaign to become president. He paid off a porn star and a Playboy model so that they wouldn't talk about the affairs he had with them in the year after his wife gave birth to his youngest child, Barron. And he lied about that to the American people. He lied about that to investigators. His lawyer lied about that to Congress and to investigate and to the FBI, and his lawyer's in jail right now for that. He lies incessantly to the American people. He participated in the cover-up of Jamal Khashoggi's murder. He has spent fully 1/3 of all his days in office visiting his own properties and 1/4 of his days in office playing golf on his own golf courses. He continues to run the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C., even though the lease on the old postal, this is the postal office building, the old Washington, D.C. post office. That lease says that if the leaseholder, in this case Donald Trump, ever becomes an elected official, they have to surrender the lease. He hasn't done that. He's violated both emoluments clauses, the foreign and domestic one. He's used security clearances to benefit his kids, Ivanka and Jared, after the government said, no, you can't give security clearances to these people. They're so corrupt. Are you kidding? And they're entangled in foreign governments, and Ivanka is getting, patents and trademarks on voting machines, among other things. He has shut down our own federal government's efforts to fight domestic terrorism, specifically white nationalism. He's aggressively refused to do anything about an insecure election system. He's got a Hatch Act offender. He's got, in his office, not just one, by the way. I mean, obviously Kellyanne Conway, but there's others who have been using federal property for political purposes. It's against the law. He invites foreign leaders to his private businesses. He uses the presidency to push his private businesses. Andrew Johnson was one of the articles of impeachment against him was that he was inappropriately and unfairly attacking members of Congress and calling them names. Trump is doing that. He's supporting authoritarian leaders around the world and dissing our traditional allies, actual small d democratic governments. I mean, where do you begin? He lies about his conversations with foreign leaders and then hides them from us. What's his biggest lie?